Nobody dresses more sharp than our next guest, Ross Benjamin, wagertalk.com. We bring him in here to the Sam Bourquin Show at AM 1310 WDPN. Ross is with us during football season, but we said, hey, you know what? Let's get the band back together just for one time here, maybe another one. We'll talk a little college basketball. Ross, good afternoon. How you doing today, sir?
Glad to see you, Sam. Glad to talk to you. And as far as a sharp dressed man today, I'm just going with my Syracuse University sweatshirt because I'm in my office working hard, getting ready for the next 2 days of the NCAA tournament.
Hey, you got to be comfortable, Ross. You got to be comfortable. And why not rock that Syracuse? Why not? Memories of the Carrier Dome with days gone by.
Yeah.
Ronnie with just a whole bunch of talent, Jimmy Boeheim and all the magic there. Ross, but before we kind of get into some X's and O's and, look at a few matchups and talk Cinderella and favorite, maybe a Final Four. When I came on the show this afternoon, I said to me, and I'm 55 years old, the beauty of this to me, it's 68 to 64, 32-16, 8-4-2, boom. And it's in 2.5 weeks. And we're all captivated. We're watching everything. It's the one and done. It's the finality. It doesn't drag out. It's the perfect sporting event. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I always said that it's my favorite event, big time event of the year because it's just not one game, right? It's the thrill of the first 64 or the first full round of the tournament when all 64 teams are involved it's my favorite time of the tournament, actually, because that's where you see a couple upsets here and there and some Cinderella teams advance. And it's just the tournament as a whole. You just can't beat it. I mean, Super Bowl is one game, it's overhyped a lot of times. And even the college football playoffs are a little better now that they've expanded to 12 teams, but there's nothing like the NCAA tournament and men's basketball. Just outstanding.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I remember my dad, my father he introduced me to those little things called parlay sheets when I was 7 years old. And I got the bug early, man. And it is.
You want to hear a funny story, Sam?
Yes.
People ask me, when did you know you wanted to do something in sports betting and take it seriously? At 7 years old, my father used to bring home parlay sheets.
Yes.
And back then you could fill out a 3-teamer and it paid 5-1. So my first time I ever put out a parlay sheet, because I used to sit and watch football with them as a 7-year-old,
Yeah,
honestly, and it won. And I thought it'd be easy from that point on, but it wasn't. And then I took on a challenge. So it's funny you mentioned that.
That is so funny. I was 7, same age. My dad, who had worked at a myriad of car dealerships when I was growing up, but the one place he worked at, he was there for like 26, 27 years. And you know how it is at the dealership, man. You're working 9 to 9 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You got to go in on Saturdays. So you got to find something. And the fix was, hey, the betting pools, the parlay sheets, and he would bring them home. And I was like, okay, all right. And half the time I probably didn't know what I was doing, but the other half maybe I did. And I hit maybe like the first 4 times he brought him home.
Wow.
So he
even better than me.
He would bring home these envelopes filled with these dirty, grimy, greasy $1 bills. And I put them in my piggy bank. I said, man, life doesn't get any better than this. And then I probably went about 2 years and never hit 1 cent. But that's how it all got started for me. And love sports, and I've always loved March Madness, and I'm actually kind of sad when it goes away. So I'm going to enjoy this sucker as long as I can. Ross, when I say field of 64, what's the first team that jumps out at you that is almost like, yeah, that team's going to be there?
Yeah, I would say that team would be Duke, only because they play such good defense. And I think that's undervalued at this time of year. And I think the combination of the talent they have that can produce offensively, their style is sort of a slow tempo as compared to past Duke teams, but they play such outstanding defense, Sam. And, I think that goes a long way in teams that go deep into the tournament.
I'm glad you brought up Duke. I'd also said right before we came on, I don't think that schools nowadays, they don't fear like the blue bloods like they used to. Like you see a Duke jersey, oh my God. You saw Coach K walk on the floor, oh, we're done. You saw Kentucky. You saw Kansas. The game has kind of changed a little bit. The field's been evened out a little bit, but you must respect those teams, Ross, because more times than not, they are going to be there at the end, aren't they?
Yeah, and the bottom line is why teams don't fear the blue bloods anymore is because you got 3 or 4 kids on a team making more money than the president. So they have a high opinion of themselves going in, and their confidence level is high. And it's the difference between those teams, though, and the Dukes of the world is quality depth, and that's another thing to look at this time of year is quality depth. Senior backcourts, which seem non-existent these days. That's where you'll find a Cinderella or two in the tournament because those mid-majors the kids seem to hang around a lot longer, and you might find a really good senior backcourt. And those types of teams always cause the higher seeds problems.
Mm-hmm. When we look at the field of 64 and people have their brackets out, they got their matchups ready to wager and look at the point spreads and totals and everything. What, if you could give some advice to maybe the novice or somebody who's been kind of doing it for a little while, how do you approach looking at lines and totals for the field when it first opens up? How do you finagle your way through that? What's a good strategy?
First of all, I look at early line movement and what it entails. Sometimes you'll see a line move and you could deem it to be a public move. Mm-hmm. And that's usually on very popular teams that a lot of people have on their brackets, or it's an absolute chalk. And as somebody or a higher seed that's only laying a couple points to a lower seed. So we see a lot of that like in the 5-12 matchups in past years. So those are the little things I look at. As far as totals go, same thing, looking at the early line movement and deeming it to be either sharp or public, and then looking at the pace of which each team plays at, and then the caliber of competition, especially when it comes to a mid-major. Are they capable of an upset? Okay, let's look at their non-conference schedule and how they fared. Not necessarily if they won all their games in non-conference play, but did they pull an upset or two, and did they play teams tough that are major power players? So those are the types of situations I look for, Sam.
Ross Benjamin is our guest, wagertalk.com. That's wagertalk.com. Ross, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, what do we have going for the March Madness, for the NCAAs? I know you got some NBA and you got all kind of stuff going on, but maybe a package or two and get your information out there so people can get that and make some moves.
March Madness Bonanza package, it's called.
All right.
$149. That's it, folks. It'll take you up through all the postseason tournaments, NIT, NCAA, the Crown, whatever have you. Whatever I put out. I'm not picking every game, but whatever I put out on the premium side of things at wagertalk.com, you'll get them all for $149. That includes all 5% best bets right through the national championship game. My college basketball premium picks have been on fire, Sam. 21-10, 67% or 66%, excuse me. And then also 42-22, 66%. And finally 76-49, 61% since December 31st. So I go into March with a lot of momentum, Sam.
You are on fire. Ross Benjamin. Check him out at wagertalk.com. We'll put some information up here on the screen as well, as far as you can get right to Ross and get his great picks. And how about that March Madness package? Let's go. $149 will get you a lot of winners. Ross Benjamin is our guest right here on 1310 WDPN. So you mentioned Duke was like the first team that popped out. Who is in Ross Benjamin's Final Four?
Final Four. I actually took Arkansas to win in the West, which is a surprise to many because that's where Arizona is located. I just think the Razorbacks, the style of play in which the tempo, the athleticism, the size, the three-point shooting ability. If you haven't played them within the SEC and you're playing them for the first time as a non-conference team, very tough team to adapt to, and a team that can give opponents fits. They're either feast or famine sometime, but I just think at this time of year, playing against teams that aren't familiar with their style, they can give a lot of teams problems. In the Midwest, I like Iowa State. I liked what they did in the Big 12 tournament. They barely got nipped there by Arizona on a last-second shot. They were leading for most of that game. So I like the Cyclones to come out of the Midwest. In the South, I like the Florida Gators, even though I think they might be very vulnerable. Something to keep in mind there is if there's going to be an upset against Florida, I would look at the Vanderbilt Commodores, who handle them quite well in the SEC tournament. But I do like Florida to get to the Final Four. And I just said it in the East, I like Duke, but beware of St. John's. They're another team similar to Arkansas that play, with the difference being St. John's is a really good defensive team. Arkansas is not. Arkansas gets by because they outscore you. St. John's could play any kind of style. Rick Pitino, a proven coach, very good defensive team, and very difficult to adapt to if you haven't seen them all year. So that's what I got, Sam.
I like it. I've got Houston, Duke, Arizona, and Michigan in my Final Four. And then I've got Michigan over Houston in the national championship. Ross, I was telling I was so close to putting the Gators over Houston. So close, but it's so hard to read. It's so hard to repeat. I do have Duke out there. I struggled with that. I thought they're just better at Michigan State. Arizona, Purdue, I wrestled with, but I just can't trust Purdue that late in the year. Yeah. And Iowa State, I was pulling for a little bit, but I don't know. I just think Michigan's got too much. But I think it's going to be a fantastic Final Four, a fantastic national title game. And I will also share this with you, Ross. I had a heck of a time trying to find like a true Cinderella to win more than one game this year. Yeah,
you might want to look at High Point. A very good team, very underrated team, mid-major, first round game against Wisconsin. I think that's a game that could surprise St. Louis in the Midwest. They get Georgia in the first round. This is a really good Billikens team that really shined for most of this season and was ranked in the top 25. And then VCU, I like as an upset pick in the first round over North Carolina. North Carolina a bit shorthanded right now, right? And VCU, another one of those teams that could play any tempo, any style, good defensive team. And that program is used to success. And like I said, if you're looking for an upset in the East, I like St. John's as a sleeper, but an upset in the first round, this South Florida team, to me, is very dangerous. Yes. And I don't trust Louisville. Yep. You know, when you get them away from Freedom Hall and they have to play on the road or at a neutral site, I think they're vulnerable. So there you have it, Sam.
I like that one. I also I did take Mizzou over Miami of Florida, only on the premises. Ross, how does a number 10 seed get to play a game an hour away from campus?
Yeah, it's a bit of a head scratcher, but I really like that Miami team. And I'm not crazy about Missouri, but good luck to you there because it's not going to make or break me. And as far as Miami of Ohio goes, I put out a free pick today in this game for tonight. And I just think that sometimes you have to look for the best betting value. And I think the best betting value in this game is Miami of Ohio plus 3.5 in the first half. Why do I say that? Well, first of all, this is a team that went 31-0 in the regular season. They lose, get upset in the quarterfinals of the MAC, and now they have to sweat it out on Selection Sunday because of the weak non-conference schedule they played in the MAC. Not really a great conference as opposed to the rest. So I think the Miami of Ohio will have a chip on their shoulder going into this game. And I think they come out and play a really strong first half. In away and neutral site games this year, Miami 14-2 straight up in the first half, meaning that they led 14 or 16 games at the half. And SMU, by the way, they've lost 5 of their last 6. And they only led at halftime in 1 of those 6 games, and that was against Syracuse, and they only led that game 39-38. They did pull away in the second half to win, but Sam, I can't pull the trigger on Miami of Ohio for the game because I think they'll come out real strong. I just have doubts about their sustainability throughout the entire 40 minutes against SMU.
I do too. Line is up to 7.5 now. The Ponies over the Redhawks. Yeah, the first half, that might be a strong play.
Yeah,
Ross Benjamin is our guest. Go ahead.
They're a top 20. They've been a top 20 team. Yet Ken Pom, the Ken Pom rankings to me are the most accurate rankings in the country when it comes to college basketball, and I put more stock in that wholeheartedly, unequivocally over the human polls where voters bet or pick their top 25. And all year long, Miami hasn't really moved out of the 80s in terms of ranking.
Yep.
Even now, you know what I mean? At 31-1, they're in the 80s. And you look at their strength of schedule, and it's amongst the weakest in this field when it comes to the field of 64. I'm not talking about the 16 seeds in the first 4 games. So, again, I just think that that's why they're a little bit vulnerable, and that's why I have a hard time pulling the trigger on them.
Ross Benjamin is our guest at wagertalk.com, on all of your social media platforms. Get in there with Ross Benjamin. I just got a quick text here on our chat. It says, ask Ross about Troy, Nebraska. He likes Troy plus 12.5, plus 13 against the Huskers. He says Nebraska's a fraud. What do you say, Ross?
Nebraska isn't a fraud to me, number one, especially when they're playing teams outside of the Big Ten, and especially when they're playing a mid-major like Troy. Troy was very impressive in winning the Sun Belt. And there certainly would be up to the task to give Nebraska all they can handle. I'm not so much in disagreement with his Troy pick, but I think them labeling them as a fraud in Nebraska is a little too far to go. So that's about the only opinion I got on that game at the moment.
I'll tell you what, these 8-9 games are just so tough. They are literal coin flips. And one we're following here in our backyard, actually, it's the first game of the tournament. That's Ohio State and TCU at 12:15 tomorrow. Bucks are anywhere between 2 and 2.5 favorite. Just for fun, an opinion, a lean on Ohio State or the Horned Frogs. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the wrong team's favorite in this game. I think I like TCU in this contest.
Yep.
Ohio State's been feast or famine this year as well. They played some great games, and they've lost the teams they should beat. TCU really showed me a lot in the Big 12 this year, and I think the Big 12 is an outstanding conference. So I like TCU. I have a small lean toward TCU in this game.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. And I think I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole of Ohio State, but I just think if the Buckeyes would kind of get blown out, and I mean between 8 and 10 points here, I think they might be looking for a coach. Would you subscribe to that theory? You think Jake Diebler's safe at least for one more year in another recruiting class that's coming in?
Yeah, an early exit certainly would put that into question, no doubt about it. I think it would be an overreaction, though, and I would give him another year. But it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility, Sam.
Ross Benjamin is our guest at Ross Benjamin. Check him out at wagertalk.com. Again, Ross, get that out there. The big March Madness Bonanza package. What can people get and how can they get involved?
You can get all my postseason picks, NIT, NCAA tournament, 5% best bets, all included, right through the national championship game for $149, folks. I'm on tremendous runs right now, 42 and 22. 65%, and also 76 and 49, 61% since December 31st. So I've been killing it in college with my college basketball premium picks. And again, $149. You'll get everything that I put out in terms of the postseason right through the national championship game. I see one of the comments here is NIL killed the Cinderella teams, and I won't charge you $200 for that advice. You know what? It's a reason why we're seeing this tournament get awful chalky in the last couple of years. Yeah. And I think that's a great statement. I mean, yes, I agree with Richard wholeheartedly. And thank you for chiming in, by the way, Richard. Didn't like it. I won't charge you $200 for your advice. When you start putting up picks and it's documented and doing as well as I do, Richard, then you could start charging $200 for advice. So
that's right. That's right. You're right on the mark there. Well, Ross, it was great to catch up with you and talk some college basketball. Like I said, it goes in the blink of an eye, 2.5 weeks, and we'll know who the champion is, and we'll already be looking ahead to next year. But good luck to you. I know you're going to nail your picks. We'll hope a lot of people will get in there and sign up for those and cash in with you. And always good to catch up and have a great March Madness. Okay, fella?
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you for having me, and all the best to you, my friend.
You got it. Ross Benjamin, that's our guy right there at wagertalk.com. That's wagertalk.com. Check him out. All right, so he's got Duke. He's got Duke winning the whole